All right, welcome to this explainer. So I want you to picture an ancient city. We're talking over 1 million people. The streets are completely bustling, the public baths are full, and these massive, monumental entertainment venues are just packed to the brim. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. They are doing all of this without modern water pumps, without a grid of electricity, and without computers. Literally none of the stuff we use today.
So that brings us right to our central question for today. How exactly did Rome support this massive, sprawling population without any modern technology? Well, I'll give you a hint. The answer isn't magic. It's actually a network of hyper-advanced, largely invisible systems of engineering and logistics. The Romans were absolute masters at hiding unbelievable complexity just beneath the surface of everyday life.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap. First, the ancient engineering machine. Second, the impossible aqueduct math. Third, Rome's municipal water grid. Fourth, the Colosseum crowd control. And finally, the arena's hidden mechanics. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Ancient Engineering Machine. Mastering the Elements.
Rome figured out pretty early on that if their city was going to be eternal, it needed a water supply that would never, ever stop flowing. 300 million. That is the staggering number of gallons of fresh water delivered into Rome every single day by their aqueducts. To put that into perspective, this ancient system provided more water per person than many modern cities do today. It's an absolutely mind-boggling volume of water, and it was flowing constantly, 24/7.
Section 2. The Impossible Aqueduct Math, Gravity, and Ingenuity.
Now, to move 300 million gallons of water miles across varied mountainous terrain without a single mechanical pump, that requires a level of microscopic precision that honestly feels totally impossible for the ancient world. They had to rely entirely on gravity and sheer human ingenuity. To pull this off, Roman surveyors used a surprisingly simple but incredibly effective tool called the corbats. Basically, imagine a 20-foot wooden beam equipped with plumb bobs and a small carved channel for water. It acted just like a giant modern bubble level. With nothing more than wood, string, and water, these engineers could detect ground variations of less than an inch over hundreds of feet.
And the results of that precision? They are just staggering. We actually have 2 ancient sources detailing the required gradient for the water. The architect Vitruvius, he recommended a drop of 1 in 200, but Pliny the Elder, and the physical evidence of many aqueducts we still have, shows gradients as incredibly shallow as 1 in 4,800. That's a 0.02% slope, meaning the water dropped just 1 meter over a distance of over 3 kilometers. The water literally thought it was sitting still, but it was actually falling the entire way to the city.
So what did the actual channel look like? Well, the Romans called it the specus. It was usually about 3 feet wide and 5 feet tall, so basically just big enough for a person to squeeze through. It was lined with opus signum, which was this legendary waterproof cement mixed with crushed ceramics so not a drop of water could seep out. Crucially, it had a vaulted roof to keep out debris and the sunlight, because sunlight breeds algae, right? Plus, along the whole route, there were inspection hatches. Dedicated maintenance crews, known as the aquaria, would climb down inside and scrape away calcium buildup. It was this highly secure, dark, and meticulously maintained artificial river.
Section 3. Rome's municipal water grid, from spring to sewer.
Okay, so once the water actually arrives at the walls of Rome, it doesn't just splash haphazardly into the streets. It entered the Castellum Divisorium, which was an enormous distribution hub operating on a strict built-in hierarchy. First priority, always the public. Water was channeled to 1,352 public fountains and baths, right off the bat. Second priority, if there was enough pressure, the water went to wealthy private subscribers who actually paid for dedicated lead pipes to their homes. And finally, the lowest priority was industry and gardens. This brilliant system ensured that even the poorest Roman citizen always had free access to fresh water before a single drop went to a private villa. Oh, and whatever overflowed from the fountains? It flushed the city's massive sewer system. Literally nothing was wasted.
But you know, hardware is nothing without software. Or in this case, administration. In 97 AD, Emperor Nerva appointed a guy named Sextus Julius Frontinus as the water commissioner. Frontinus came in and found massive illegal water theft and corruption. People were literally tapping the pipes. So he cracked down, reformed the entire bureaucracy, and wrote a detailed technical manual called De Aqueductu that actually survives to this day. Rome's survival absolutely depended on this permanent, vigilant bureaucracy keeping everything flowing.
Section 4. The Colosseum crowd control, the architecture of entertainment.
All right, so we've seen Rome's infrastructure for survival. Now let's pivot and look at its infrastructure for social control and entertainment. The Colosseum could hold an estimated 70,000 screaming spectators. Getting that many people into a single building safely without modern turnstiles or digital ticketing on your phone, that is a monumental urban planning challenge. But the systems they designed are just as functional as the ones used in our mega stadiums today.
They solved this crowd control issue with the vomitoria system. Now, there were 80 massive arches at ground level. 76 of these were numbered with Roman numerals, which corresponded to a spectator's assigned ticket, directing the general public seamlessly right to their sections. The remaining 4 were these grand, unnumbered entrances at the cardinal points, reserved exclusively for the emperor, magistrates, and the super elite. Because of this brilliant radial design, all 70,000 people could fill or completely empty the amphitheater in just a matter of minutes. No bottlenecks. But sitting inside the Colosseum wasn't just about snagging a good view. It was a literal physical map of Roman society. At the very bottom tier, closest to the action and, well, the blood, sat the senators and nobles. Moving up, the middle tiers housed the knights and the wealthy Roman citizens. And packed into the very top tier, the absolute furthest from the arena floor, were the poor, the women, and the slaves. When you went to the games in Rome, you were quite literally put in your place.
Section 5. The arena's hidden mechanics. The backstage engine.
So, the crowd is seated. But what exactly are they watching? The true magic of the Colosseum didn't actually happen on the sand. It happened underneath it, in a place called the Hypogeum. This was a dark, sweltering, 2-story maze of masonry corridors hidden beneath the wooden arena floor. It was the ultimate backstage area. Down here, in the oppressive heat and the stench, hundreds of workers, slaves, and animal handlers coordinated the insane logistics of the deadly games happening directly above their heads. To make a lion or a gladiator seemingly pop out of nowhere in the center of the arena, they used a highly advanced elevator system. Winch operators at the bottom level would turn these incredibly heavy wooden capstans. The ropes passed through a complex series of pulleys, lifting heavy animal cages or even scenery platforms. When a platform reached the top, it would flip horizontally on a pivot. A trapdoor in the arena floor would spring open, and beasts would burst directly into the blinding sunlight. Archaeologists have actually identified the locations of 60 of these specific capstans. It was a massive, perfectly synchronized machine. But the innovation didn't stop under the floor. It went all the way up into the sky. To protect 70,000 people from the brutal, scorching heat of the Roman summer, they built the Velarium. This was a gigantic retractable awning that shaded the seating area while leaving the arena floor itself brilliantly lit. Because it was rigged using tons of canvas, ropes, and pulleys, the Romans realized there was really only one group of people qualified to operate it: actual active-duty sailors. The sheer scale of this whole shebang is honestly amazing. 240 wooden masts were set into the upper rim of the Colosseum. It required at least 240 active-duty sailors from the Roman Navy to operate the external winches in perfect, synchronized unison, pulling massive canvas sheets along a central ring of ropes. These sailors were often enslaved young men from conquered territories, serving brutal 15 to 30-year terms to eventually earn their freedom and Roman citizenship. It was their perfect coordination that kept the crowd comfortable. Which brings us to our final thought. We've seen gradients measured to fractions of an inch. We've seen monumental crowd control. And we've explored subterranean theater mechanics. Rome's true legacy isn't just their marble statues or battle tactics. It is an absolute mastery of invisible logistics. So I leave you with this. Looking at the infrastructure we all rely on today, which of our modern stadiums and municipal water grids will still be standing and studied in complete awe 2,000 years from now? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep wondering, keep learning, and we'll